Welcome back to Partnerships Unraveled, the podcast where we unravel the mysteries about partnerships and channel on a weekly basis. My name's Alex Whitford. I'm the VP of Revenue here at Chanext, and this week I'm very excited to welcome our special guest, Brandon. How you doing?
Alex, I'm doing fine. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. This one feels a bit close to home. As my audience knows, I spent a lot of time working at Zoom, and today you are calling from one of the best companies in the world in Zoom yourself. Maybe for the uninitiated, you could give us a little bit of an introduction about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, I agree with you first of all, as far as one of the best companies in the world, and definitely a great choice for me. Shout out Zoom for the selection. I appreciate that. I'm Brandon Knight. By title, I am the head of the ZCX ecosystem, but really, I'm the Chief CX Evangelist. My role is to I answer that question I get, that little curious look I get from people when I start talking contact center and Zoom, because most people don't even know we have it. So that's my job. We're more than meetings, people, and I'm here to tell you that.
Yeah, I was I worked at Zoom when the potential Five Nines merger came in, and then how that CX story really came about. And to me, it's a bit inside baseball, but to me, this was such a logical next step where, at the time during COVID, Zoom had built out the best meetings, I think inarguably the best meetings technology in the world. And so people were using video. And then it just transformed into, but what about all forms of communication, which is sort of where that contact center story sort of births from. Now, evangelizing that message, I'm already sold, I'm already there, but evangelizing that message to the masses, to partners, that's a complicated shift to take partners from maybe that more transactional selling motion. Hey, we like Zoom meetings. That's great. Let's do that, all the way through to that full solution sell. How's that evangelization process going?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And honestly, Alex, and you'll know this from working here and from being known in this space. You have to model it. You have to show them the difference between transactional selling and solution selling or value selling. A lot of people talk about it. They say, well, the contact center is a complex product. But if I haven't sold it, that's confusing to me. So what's the complex? What does it mean? I'm used to transactional things. I'm used to what's your address? Or if I sell meetings, how many rooms do you have? Where's the building? That's how many meetings licenses, right? It's fairly transactional. We're talking with value selling, there's more stakeholders, there's more questions, more discovery, that kind of thing. One of the things we do is we literally train it live. We show people how to do value selling, how to do solution selling. What's cool is that we recently started taking that knowledge and putting it into a video library. It's not available yet. By the time this podcast comes out, it actually will be available. But I'm working with Ken Westerman, who heads up our COE, one of the smartest guys I know. And we're putting together value selling tidbit videos that partners will have access to.
One of the things that I'm sort of really passionate about when it comes to my own career, when it comes to how we build Chanext, and I think it's a fundamental business strategy, is the power of brand. I think a lot of leaders understand the importance of brand, and they think, well, does brand marketing actually contribute to revenue? And I think you have a great articulation of why brand is so important. You have partners committing to Zoom Contact Center before the product was even ready.
Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I walked into that. You were here before, during the should we buy 5.9? Should we do our own thing? I came in slightly after the decision was made to build our own thing. And so as part of my normal, getting to know people, learning the business, I found out that there were pre-orders. I'd never even heard of that. There were pre-orders for the contact center product, and we were just releasing phone. And as I got into it, I found out, a lot of it, which I didn't even know. It started, of course, during the pandemic, right? During the coronavirus pandemic, Zoom became a verb. Everyone's on, you do Zoom meetings. All education's on Zoom meetings. But what a lot of people might not know is that Zoom wasn't the only game in town. There were actually 4 other companies vying for that business. When the call came out that everybody needed to go home, everybody needed to go remote. Zoom just won that positioning because they decided to make it easy. to stand up and get on Zoom meeting. To coin a phrase back when you were here, the Zoom mantra was, "It just works," right? So that created brand loyalty to when we came out with phone. They were like, "Oh, well, the phone works. The phone is easy." And then we announced we're going to come out with contact center and said, "Well, it's probably going to be like everything else we have from them. It's going to be easy, and it's going to just work." But that was a really pleasant surprise for me. It did create a little bit of pressure, right? Because we're trying to design a product and go to market. So you want to get to market quickly because you already have the orders, but you have people that trust your brand to do it the right way. So it was a methodical, intentional release with a little pressure behind it.
Yeah, and I think Zoom built an amazing product. They wrapped that up with great brand loyalty.
Yeah.
And I since we did the prep call, I've actually articulated this to a few different businesses, because what a powerful message, right? What's really important when you're going to invest millions and years in building a product and a go-to-market is, hey, what's the partner feedback like? What's the customer feedback like? How do we wrap this into a predictable motion? And pre-orders, one, they obviously help fund that, which is great. But second, it's immediate feedback. Oh, what's missing? I remember when Zoom was building out phone, yeah, obviously you add features every month.
Yeah.
But that partner and customer feedback drives that roadmap. And to me, that's such a credible story in terms of the importance of building brand and how, ironically, Brandon, that makes your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I think it's important to acknowledge getting feedback from our customers on a contact center product wasn't readily available because we didn't have a contact center product, right? So we got feedback in real time as we launched it out. But what really helped build it were some strategic partners. We reached out to a handful of partners in the beginning and asked them to kind of be a part of this growing thing with us. And they gave us real live, real-time feedback on what their customers were asking for. More importantly, what were customers actually using? Because one of the questions we got in the beginning when we said we were going to build a contact center is, well, what are you going to build it like? Is it going to be enterprise level, like is it going to match like NICE and 5.9 and Genesis, or is it going to be more like this, more like that? And our decision was we really didn't want to match anyone that was out there. We really wanted to match what did the customer actually want? What were they using? Because there's a lot of features. This is not a knock against any of our competitors, but there's a lot of features that were rolled out in the contact center space that don't really get used. Whether it's the agent doesn't understand them or they don't really have value. It's cutesy and flashy, but not really pertinent. We wanted the features that customers actually needed, and we trusted a handful of partners who got that information for us and shared it with us. It really helped our early success quite a bit.
Yeah, and it's an absolute credit to the sort of channel relationship you and the team have built. We talk a lot on this podcast about the importance of lifetime value of an end customer, but that pales in comparison to partner lifetime value, because those partner lifetime value, one, that's more than one customer, right? Because it's every customer that hangs off that partner. But secondly, partners can iterate both the product and the go-to-market, right? They can both say, hey, here's where your program needs improving, but also here's where your product needs improving, and
100%.
They are business people, right? And that's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing about working in the channel is I get to spend all day selling business, talking about business to business people, and we're all sort of in this win-win game. Maybe go on.
Yeah, no, you're right. They are that is the best part about the channel. Aside from the relationships, is the shared goal, right? We're all working towards the same thing. These guys aren't going to give me bad advice, because if I make a bad product or a bad program, it hurts them. So I think it's a great symbiotic relationship. I need them to be successful. We have, like a lot of vendors, we have a goal for the percent that we want to sell, in the channel. And the partner has a goal for the number of customers they want to help and the revenue they want to generate. And we all have that same goal where we want to improve life for that customer and for that customer's end users. So it's a great symbiotic relationship with one goal.
So maybe taking that symbiosis, I think that's the right word, to the next level. AI is going to affect everything when it comes to product, when it comes to operations, when it comes to go-to-markets. and obviously, Zoom is de facto it's an AI company, right? It's an AI company wrapped up in communications. Part of taking people on that journey in terms of how to adopt AI might be or can be a little bit of FOMO, right? Which is, hey, if you don't come now, you're going to miss it. Talk to me about the messaging, the tactics that you use to sort of generate that momentum.
Yeah. It's funny, Alex, because we actually spent, I'm going to go back a year. We actually spent a good part of an offsite meeting when we realized our AI was going to be in every product and not just, parsed out. And so we said, okay, so we want messaging, right? Because to your point, we have to be able to share that messaging with the partner in order for them to pick up the story and go take it. So we spent the better part of an offsite meeting talking about our messaging and how we're going to brand it and what we're going to tell them. And in the midst of rolling that out, we realized something. FOMO exists already in our space. It's already there because you can't go anywhere. Television, internet, you can't go anywhere without someone talking about AI. The whole open source chat GBT thing and then generative AI, and it exploded on the scene and everyone wanted it. Everyone's using it. There were debates about, is it okay to use in the education system and should we use it in the legal system and how can doctors use it? So where usually you have the partners trying to generate something to talk to their customers about because they want to get in and do consulting for them, the script flipped. The customers were jumping up and down, raising their hand. I need AI. I need to know about AI. Like, I got to get AI in my business. So that drove, the customer was going to their partner saying, hey, I want AI. I got a new CIO and they said we need AI. Or my marketing team saw something at a show and they want AI. So now the partner was coming back to the TSDs and coming back to the vendors saying, hey, I don't know about this AI. Like, they say they want it. What does that mean? Like, how do I get it? What is it actually? So we went from trying to craft messaging to drive partners to crafting education that partners could use. Yeah. So FOMO, when it comes to AI, FOMO is real.
But I love that, right? Because I think there is a lot of people talking about AI. And one of the things that I find, which is very often I find myself having a conversation with someone and I'm sort of sat there quizzically, because I've been fortunate, thanks to this podcast, to speak to some real AI experts, people at NetApp, people at NVIDIA, really, who spend all day like understanding the technical mechanics of AI. Sometimes when I speak to people, I realize I'm getting an opinion that they found on LinkedIn,
right.
which is sometimes you're like, oh, like you need to talk about AI from a readiness and like a proof that, hey, we're still we're still in the source. I think an amazing thing that I saw with Zoom is one of the most complicated things about being a CEO of a publicly listed company is you have to do your earnings call. And so when I talk about AI being at the core of what Zoom does, I saw that Eric Yuan, who's the Zoom CEO, did his earnings call using an AI twin, a digital twin, which I think is one, amazing publicity move, but second, I can imagine from a stress management, availability, operational flexibility, this is what we're aiming for, right? How do I download my brain, maybe add a few IQ points and get it to do some work that I don't have to do? Talk to me about the digital twin and AI roadmap that's in.
Yeah. First of all, I am loving this whole digital twin clone thing. Just because for a lot of reasons, but even for me, I can't make all the meetings that I want to make. I certainly can't thoroughly read all the emails that I get every day. And I'm one person, in an organization. So you think about the millions of people, and this idea, it's funny because just last year we talked about it and people were like, oh, well, that's not now. That's in the future. They're thinking like robots and Megan and iRobot and movies and Skynet and stuff. We're talking the logical evolution of the product, right? We went from a product that did meeting summaries and could ask some questions to doing, taking action lists from meetings now. And now we have agentic AI. So now we can do reasoning, right? So the biggest challenge in trying to make that personal was the large language models were too much information for it to be like me. It's sourcing from all over the place, right? small language models, which are being developed now. Now I can program my AI. I can give it my opinion, my biases. I give it all the history of where I was born and how old I am, all those things. All those things lend itself to my decision making, right? My thought process. And so now, and now there's companies that make 3D avatars. So now it's not, it's not a cartoon type thing, or it's not one dimensional. And now I can speak. And also, by the way, it has the language translator in it. So I don't even have, it can be me 3D speaking, but I could be speaking Spanish, French, whatever. It's fascinating, actually.
Yeah, I think that's the piece. And if you're not wrapped up, sometimes I think it's easy to forget that a lot of people think AI is some function of ChatGPT, and that's it, which is absolutely not the case. I built an agentic workflow in my company that listens to every sales call and every sales meeting and puts it through a scoring matrix and messages me the results. So it says, hey, Alex, like this. I built an AI sales coach. And I can't tell you like this, it took a few hours to build, put it into a script, tested it a few times, redid it. And it saved, I don't know, 15 hours a week. Oh, and by the way, it does the coaching better than I do. The analysis is better, the feedback is better. And this is the thing where I get really like excited, which is, it can reinforce strength. So it can understand what I want, your digital twin, but I'm not joking when I say, but we can add a few IQ points, right? If you're not great at understanding finance metrics, that's okay. We can say build Brandon.ai, but by the way, he also has an MBA, right?
100%.
And that's the thing that I think people really need to grasp is this isn't just dilution. It's actually, have you ever had that dream? I wish I could clone myself 10 times, then I could get everything done.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about.
You remember how we used to joke about that? Like, yes. I have so many meetings to do. I have so many things. I wish I could clone myself. Well, you can.
Yeah. With improvements, you can clone yourself and get that MBA. Yeah.
I can make it better. It's funny because Eric actually mentioned that in the early days. He wanted someone, of course, to like be able to screen his emails and tell him what matters, stuff like that, and go to meetings. But there were a couple of things he mentioned, like contracting, negotiating, some of that legalese stuff he wanted to be better at. So of course he made his twin better at it. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
We all have the option of making a better version of ourselves.
Exactly. And I think that's where the sort of agentics is going to get really interesting, because I can have sales trainer, Alex, and I can have finance trainer, and I can have legal negotiator. And you have all of these models that, again, allow me to do the work. And I think maybe zooming out to where the future's headed, because I know you've got some great sort of thoughts around there, but which allows me to do the bits of the job that I really want to do. One, I'm best at, and two, I enjoy the most. Talk to me around, just give us a little bit of optimism when a lot of people seem to go the negative route to AI. What do you think AI is going to provide the world?
Yeah, I do. Like you said, a lot of people tend to go to the negative aspect of it, but I liken it to, like, I look at the contact center space. And I remember when I've been in the contact center space long enough to know that people used to do password resets live. There used to be a live agent that reset your password. There used to be a live agent that told you your bank balance, told you when your next payment was due. You know what I'm saying? There used to be a live agent to read off your credit card transactions, to give you a phone number. There used to be a live agent to give you the address of where a business was located, right? So we obviously have evolved, right? We went to IVRs and all that, and self-service and stuff like that. And we're past the stage of push one for sales and two for support stuff, right? We have live agent, we have agentic agents that can not only ping a database and look at something, but they can understand what you're actually calling about and respond to those rudimentary things. And then this one thing about this business hasn't changed. Human beings are still the most expensive resource any company has. So if you now have these human beings that are not doing these mundane things, now they're having higher level conversations. And oh, by the way, since they're doing less calls, they're not as pressed to rush someone off the phone or give them a half answer. They now can take their time. You can actually get one call resolution because they're not spending time doing things that you don't need a human brain or human empathy to accomplish. So I see that. For me personally, I'm also looking forward to, like I said, sometimes I'm just double booked, triple booked. Sometimes I'm running late for a meeting and I get to a meeting a few minutes late. And in the old days, you used to have to ask them, is there anything for me, or try to read through the notes. Now the AI will do all of that. It'll do all that. It'll tell me if my name was mentioned. It'll tell me if I have any tasks. So it's a time saver. And one of the mantras that I use at Zoom now, where we used to be, it just works. Now I tell people our products, we design products so that you can spend less time doing the things you have to do, so you have more time to do the things you want to do, right? Because we work, right? But we don't. Look, man, we work because there's people that generate bills for the lives that we want, okay, and we have to compensate them, right? But like you have a fairly newborn. I'm sure you'd like to get to the point where your twin can do some of that rudimentary stuff, and you have more time to play with your son. That's real life.
Yeah, and I do really I really see the world where I'm really interested from a just productivity nerd perspective. We've seen a few companies and a few countries implement 4-day work weeks and see productivity rise, right? Because it turns out people are meant to work 40, 50 hours, and maybe they stretch 30 hours of work into 40 hours. And actually, if you condense it down and everyone has that agreement, maybe people go, oh, well, I'll just work out how to get more done. And I'm sort of interested in that, but I'm definitely interested if you sort of wrap that up in AI, where you go, well, what would you rather do? And then suddenly, we can work out all of these and we can do these things. And now I'm able to get 3 days worth of work done in or 5 days worth of work done in 3 days. And what does that do for society? And I think that's an amazing thing to wrap your head around, because I think that's...
I agree.
Yeah. Maybe then to end, we've gone from some fear stuff into the positive, and now let's go to the real positive. Mm-hmm. I'd like you to give some advice to the channel people that are starting their career. They're in the first 6 months, year, 2 years of their career. What's some of the advice that you give people entering the channel today?
Oh, wow. Entering the channel, first thing, and I really believe this. When it comes to the channel, especially if you're new, enjoy the sizzle, okay? But eat the meat. You understand what I'm saying? The channel is very flashy. There's a lot of awards and shows and happy hours and dinners and golf and baseball and football, and there's a lot of sizzle, a lot of attention things. There's a lot of flashy things, and yeah, enjoy that. Take that in, because that's the networking part of the channel. That's how you interact with people. That's how you get to know people. But eat the meat. Don't forget why you're there. Do the educational things. Make good use of your time. Everyone's vying for your time when you're doing the channel, whether you're a supplier or an agent or a new employee in TSD. Everyone's vying for your time and attention. Make good use of your time. Make good decisions. Enjoy the fun stuff, but absorb the educational stuff. Get better at your craft, because the channel is based on networking and relationships. That'll get you in the room. But if you're not paying attention, you don't observe the knowledge, then you can't really help anyone once you're in the room. If you can't provide for your customer, you can't lead your customer, you can't give your customer advice on technology if all you're doing is playing golf. I mean, you'll meet the right people and you'll have fun, but you won't know anything. So that's my advice, man. And enjoy the sizzle, have the fun, but eat the meat.
Yeah, I love that. I think the channel's built on NRR. I don't mean net rev retention, networking, relationships, and reputation. Exactly. And I think, and I do really believe that there is almost no other business in the world that reputation matters more than it does in the channel, because it's actually, for the billions and billions of revenue flowing through it, we're a tiny little ecosystem. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, your reputation follows with you, whether that's in partners or distributors or vendors, customers, and you get to keep stacking on top. So going the extra mile and really, really focusing on providing value. You'd be amazing how that comes back around.
I agree. Your reputation, and it's interesting that you put it that way, because the networking happens first. The relationships are what you build from the networking, but your reputation is based on what you deliver.
There you go. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I love that. I think that NRR is in the right order too.
Yeah, love it. Awesome,
Yeah.
Brandon. Well, we believe in networking on this podcast, and I also believe in hopefully building a good reputation, which allows you to trust me with someone in your little black book. Who did you want to invite onto the podcast?
Wow. Well, I can tell you, I love this experience. I love what you guys are doing, and I feel like I have the perfect guest for you. Her name is Samantha Nelson. She's the vice president of CX at Telarus. Telarus is, one of the major TSDs in our market. You know those guys well, and I believe Samantha has a great story to tell, from working at a vendor to now leading partners. Her organization leads partners in this space on how to sell and how to do the right things for their customers. So I think it's a good story there.
Awesome. I'm really excited to have Samantha on maybe the other side of the coin of this story. So that'd be great. Brandon, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. It's been awesome.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Alex. It's been great.